Really, it's just us. So shit, we've only got like 50 people to watch anyway. So
I'm with you, man. Yeah. This will be fun.
hell yeah.
Whenever y'all are ready.
Perfect. All right. Well, guys, welcome back to the Kirio House podcast. My name's Craig Kiriokos, and I'm joined by Aaron Lasater. Did I say your last name right?
Yep.
Lasater. Okay. So owner, operator, MVP Pest Control.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Well, dude, I appreciate you coming out all the way from Mustang.
Oh yeah, about an hour drive. I
Woo.
plugged it in. I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Very
fun.
nice.
So thanks for having me on today.
Dude, 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, you do a lot of driving anyway, because you guys are doing pest inspections and treatments all over the place, right?
Yeah, we go everywhere from Guthrie down to Norman, Yukon out to Choctaw, really. Greater Oklahoma City Metro is kind of how I say it.
Okay.
We'll go a little further. Sometimes we have to charge more when we go further. So
Wow, you're paying more in gas and
yeah,
time.
gas and time. Those are the two big ones,
Yeah.
Driving's not free. So,
It's especially not right now.
right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, this morning it was a little under $4, so I think it's starting to come back down. But
I hope so.
yeah.
Man, I saw when things were getting real bad with Ukraine and Russia, I was seeing pictures of gas prices posted up all over the place. There was one in California where it was like $9.09 a gallon.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, are you freaking kidding
That
me?
shut us down.
Yeah. How could you even operate?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we still haven't had a price increase since the gas has gone up.
Really?
Like, I'm trying to hold out as long as possible. One day
That
we
money's
may
going
have to.
somewhere.
Yeah, one day we may have to, but I go back to when it was $1 a gallon. I wasn't charging less, so
That's true.
one day I may have to, but right now we're riding this out. So
That's
we
awesome,
got
man.
6 vehicles on the road, so it's like that'll eat you up.
No kidding. And obviously they're going all over the place. So
Everywhere. Yeah, we try to group stuff in certain areas to save on it, but there'll be that one oddball out in Harrow we gotta, take
never
off.
fails.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every day.
So you've got 6 trucks.
Mhm. Yeah.
And how many people do you have working for you?
Let's see. There's 5 technicians and 2 girls in the office.
Okay.
So-
So you've got a pretty decent sized operation.
Yeah. We keep one spare truck that in case something, we got to get
case
one in the
something happens.
shop. Hey, go hop in the van for the day. No one likes to drive the van though.
Really? Was it the first vehicle?
No, it
Okay.
wasn't. It was actually the third one. The idea behind the van was in the wintertime when it's freezing outside, it'll keep the pumps, you can leave it running and it won't freeze and you can still work out of it.
Okay.
But just like no one
Did it
wants
not
to
work so
drive the van. It's funny. I end up driving it more than anyone else. And,
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, if anyone wants to complain, it's like, look, I was in it last week.
Yeah. Come on. You can do it.
You can do it. Yeah.
So what happens with the pickup trucks in the winter? How do you keep the pumps from freezing?
We keep like the small stuff up in the cab, and then the big pump we winterize with like RV antifreeze
okay.
or blow the lines out. So
Okay.
yeah,
And so you've got 6 technicians or five
yeah.
technicians, 2 girls in the office.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get this thing started? Was it just you in a truck or?
There's the back. You want the whole?
Hell yeah. Give me the whole story, bro. I want to, because I'll tell you, I see you guys do all my pest inspections.
Yeah.
You do a great job. I haven't met anyone on the team that I don't like.
Yeah.
They clearly, when they're going through the house, you can tell they take their time. They're looking for the right things. They're not just breezing through and, and then saying you're good. You can see them walk around with a flashlight. They're looking and checking. And then I see you on, Facebook. It looks like you're doing a lot of business and you seem, very successful. And I'm like, man, what's this guy doing? How did he get here? What's going on?
So it started. Well, I'm second generation pest control. My dad, he actually still owns his business called The Bug Guy.
Okay. So he's and Andy Farms.
Oh no, that's my father-in-law. Who's
That's your father-in-law. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my
okay.
dad owns a company called The Bug Guy. They started off in Edmond. Now they're out of Piedmont, but they service the same area. And in high school, like in the summers, I knew I was going. hey, I had to go dig trenches and drill holes, and I had no choice. And after I graduated high school, I went to college for 1 year. College wasn't for me.
I
It was
feel you
the
there.
most expensive party of my life. Yeah, but after that 1 year up at OSU, I dove right into work for him, and then in 2018, I've been with him for a little over 9 years, and I said, uh, we're I want to preface this by saying me and my dad are like best friends now.
Yeah.
But like when you're working for him, things got,
It's a
he'll
little
even
different.
say it.
It's a little
Our
different.
relationship's a lot better now that I don't work for him. I saw him
Well,
this
dude,
morning,
it's hard to
actually.
work for family.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really hard. And I mean, you think about like the dynamic between a father and son growing up,
Hmm.
and then you throw a business in the mix,
Oh
and like
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
recipe for trouble.
So yeah, it ended up being. I was like, man, what do I got to do? Like, wanted to make more money too, and he's like, why don't you kind of? It ended up being like, go try to start your own. I always had it to fall back on if I ever needed to go back, so I
Yeah.
kind of had that crutch in a way, but
Call it a safety
a
net.
safety net,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but when I decided to start my own company, it day one it kind of just blew it. It blew up because my cell phone, he paid for my cell phone all those years,
Yeah.
working under him. And I'm like, I got a company phone. Why would I have now I got to go get my own number.
Yeah.
I lost all my contacts, or I had my contacts, but they synced over, but
Yeah.
no one had my number. So I go through each individual person in my phone and just start texting them. Hey, this Aaron Lasater, got to, started my own pest control company. I'm not working for my dad anymore. And texted probably like 1,000 people. And I kicked off July 1st, 2018, and I had a full schedule every day after that.
No way.
Yeah,
Dude, so you came out of the gate swinging.
swinging. Yeah, it was like my first week was already booked, and if I did have downtime, I was out networking, talking to people, trying to take people to lunches, doing everything I could, working from like 6 a.m. to midnight every day for like 2 years. That was the hardest part.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with the office, and because when you're a one-man show and you're doing 8 to 10 jobs a day, you have to stay on top of the office and the paperwork too. So I knew right
Oh,
away,
it's like
like,
you're working, you got to work in the business because you got to
yeah,
generate the revenue, but
right.
then you also have to work on it to keep it going.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And yeah, and making those phone calls to line up more work, it's like I had to do everything in the evening. And then so I know that was July 1st. I know going into winter it's going to slow down. Pest control slows down every winter. Cold kills bugs,
Oh, yeah.
or they go dormant, they go underground. Um, January rolls around and I look at my wife, I'm like, I'm still busting it. I have to get help or this spring is going to kill me. And so even more scary than going out on my own was hiring my first technician.
Yeah.
I'm like, someone's going to rely on me for a paycheck now.
Yes.
That was even more scary than like, because if I fail, so what? But if I fail him, I can't live with that.
Yeah.
So, but I knew my schedule was full. So if I can train him, now I can go get more work. Sometimes I miss those days when it was just me because there was not so much pressure, but
Yeah.
now it's all running very smoothly and loving it. So I hired Derek, which he's still with us. I don't know if you've met Derek before or not.
I don't think so.
Okay, he's a real good guy. He's got a beard,
Okay.
long beard. He's starting to grow it out. I'm proud of him. He let it go, and it's
Yeah.
it's coming in. But so Derek started with me, and then got a phone call from my buddy John when John was he had talked to me about working for me before, but I thought he was joking, and I was like, "You don't want to, like what? Like no."
Why did you think he was joking?
I just because he was in like I don't want to spill too much stuff, but the line of work he was doing, I was like, "You don't want to quit that. This is like,
Yeah.
And so after I hired my first guy, he comes to me and he's like, "Hey,
I want to work for you.
I was serious about that." And I'm like, "Oh, well, you know what? Come on, let's do this. And so yeah, we got him and Derek rolling, and then I finally realized, like, I started reading books about. I had no idea what I was doing as far as growing a business and doing it the right way. And I'm reading books and found out pretty quick I need someone to answer my phone. I have to take that off my plate. So hire my first my first office help, and Kylie came in and she got her trained up, and then she ended up winning Miss Rodeo Oklahoma. So like our family's like into horses and stuff, and we do a lot of. My wife was a rodeo queen and all that.
Nice.
And so Kylie ends up winning Miss Rodeo Oklahoma, so she can't work for me anymore because she's got to go do her.
Oh,
her
she's
thing.
got rodeo duties.
Yeah. So it's like, oh goodness. So luckily I held her long enough. She helped me train Lindsay, who's been with us ever since.
Okay.
And then another buddy of mine, Tyler, worked for my dad for like 5 years, and he comes to me. He left my dad, was working somewhere else, and then wanted to come. Like I actually kind of like I called him. I'm like, hey Tyler, we're so busy, you know, like if you're not happy where you're at, holler at me and I'll make it right with you. And we ended up swinging him in. He's been with us for 2 or 3 years now, and ever since then it's just been rocking and rolling. Now we're where I always dreamed it would be one day is kind of where it's at now, because we always try to stay like half a person overemployed on the technician side.
Yeah.
And it's like perfect because I can still squeeze in those last minute inspections. Like if an agent forgets to call their termite guy and they're trying to get it done the same time as a home inspection,
Yeah.
call us. We'll try to make it happen for you, but can't always do it. But most of the time,
you've got some of that flexibility.
Yeah. Like if someone needed something done tomorrow, I can make it. We may have to tweak the times a little bit, but usually I can get it.
I'm kind of curious. What do you guys do to manage scheduling? Do you have an app to like manage all the scheduling and assign different jobs to different people, or how do you guys do that?
We use a software that pretty much. I mean, it just like it. Everyone's got their schedules every day, and the girls have this big screen that they can see everyone's individual schedules every day. But we start it on a book. Like you write it here first.
Okay.
On like a big schedule book, and then you enter it into the computer, and like Lindsay can be entering something, and Callie over here can be entering something, and it's real time. It updates real time, and then it goes to the apps on our phone. So their schedule's on an app, and I'll honestly have to send a lot of credit to that software we use. It's called Gorilla Desk. And especially on the pest control side, like it auto reschedules for us. Like,
oh, really?
Like, let's say I come spray your house today, and we recommend quarterly treatments, which is about every 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks before your 90 day, it's going to auto send you a text with the pre-written out thing we have saying, hey, Craig, it's been almost 90 days since we've been there. You want to go ahead and schedule the next one? And you hit, and it'll actually give you a date and time, and you can hit confirm, reschedule, or cancel.
No.
Yeah, it'll text.
Dude, that's awesome.
So it kind of helps run itself. As soon as they hit confirm, it alerts them at the office. They jog it down in the book, and then everything's linked up.
Dang. So, okay. Yeah. So it's almost like self-sustaining.
Yeah.
Dude, I wish I could do something like that for real estate. Like, hey, you've been in your house for 4 years. It might be time to think about moving.
I bet there's stuff set out there to contact those people automatically.
Yeah, I bet there is.
I mean, I don't know what, but
man,
yeah.
I've got this CRM that I've tried a bunch of different CRMs, mm-hmm. and just to keep track of people and store data and notes on conversations and all that.
Yeah.
And most of them, I feel like they try and put too much in there. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of moving parts, and they're just not easy to use. And so I find myself defaulting to this one. It's called Capsule. and it's easy, it's simple, and so I use that a lot. But I just ended up getting this new one, and I can't remember what the name is off the top of my head, but it's kind of cool because it'll track your sales funnel too.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say I get like a new buyer or seller that I'm working with, I can put in all the information about that client,
Yeah.
what I expect them to be buying or selling. So it'll keep track of the sales price, the commissions, and then I can take different parts of the commissions and say like, okay, 55% goes to marketing, this goes to blah, blah, blah,
That makes sense.
yeah. And so it'll kind of show you like what your estimated bottom lines are. And
Yeah.
but that's Gorilla Desk is a pretty cool system.
It is. The only thing I regret about Gorilla Desk is not getting it as soon as I signed up.
Yeah.
I've even got my dad on it now.
Really?
Yeah. His company uses it, and yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. Everything's automated, and like any report we fill out, we can email right then and there. We type it all up. Everything was handwritten until about like 5 years ago.
Okay.
All our reports were handwritten. You go scan it in, email it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Or like they started coming out with these scanner apps that you'd lay it out on the table, scan it, and send it.
Yeah.
Now it's all just, it's easy.
All digital.
Yeah.
Nice. So did that, like the simplicity of that, help you grow and scale? Because
For sure.
everyone's time was kind of freed up.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
If that between the software and having the right help in the right places is what made it all run so smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say it's perfect. It's never perfect. And as soon as I say that, something bad's gonna go.
Right.
But no, we're in a good place. It's rocking and rolling. I just hired a new guy in January. He's trained up on everything except for termite inspections, and he's not too far off. My rule of thumb for a new person is I want him to see termite activity 100 times before I send him out on an inspection.
So that way they know what to look for and what termites look like.
Yeah, because termites are like, it's never the same, ever. Like, there's no two circumstances that look exactly the same. They're similar, but they can show up anywhere in a house at any time, and they can look about 50 different ways. So you're constantly like scanning.
I don't understand how they get into some places. Like they'll be in an interior wall in the interior of the house.
Yeah. There's only two ways that can happen. So when the plumbing lines are stubbed out, they come up around the plumbing lines or air ducts, I guess. Or there's a hairline crack or a big crack in the slab.
Okay, and they'll come up through there.
Yeah. They only need, a 1/16 of an inch, and they'll worm their way right through there.
And do you always find them in like a swarm?
No, most of the time only this time of the year do we find them in swarming season's kicked off now.
Okay.
So right now
you posted the other day and you said so many termites. I was like, oh, that's not good.
We're getting bombarded with calls. It's great, because that's what makes our company go around. But
yeah,
it's all of a sudden you go from like, man, is anything going to happen to like no free time?
Yeah.
and yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, and most of the time those swarmers, this time of year, yes. The other times of year, you'll see so swarmers they're black termites with wings.
Okay.
The ones that are eating, and the workers and the soldiers and the queen, they're white or like a cream color, I guess.
Okay.
So a lot of times you'll find those, but to see those, the weather has to be like just perfect. So,
to see the cream colored ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if it's raining that day, they're going to be underground.
Okay.
They're like ants. They'll stay down in their colony. They'll come up and they'll eat for a couple days. And then if the weather's right, they'll be eating constantly all day. But if it's too cold or too hot, they'll slow down. They're there, but...
So that's the way it works. Like in a house, if you've got a termite infestation, they've basically, like ants would find a source for food somewhere, and then they go back and forth between the colony and the food until that runs out. So the same things. Your house is the source of food.
Yeah. So termites eat cellulose. Okay. So cardboard, cotton, any dead wood,
Okay.
Like they'll eat the cellulose out of it and take it, eat it, take it back to the colony. So
Okay.
they're constantly working, constantly foraging for food.
Okay.
And that's, yeah, I mean, just like ants. And it's kind of like ants, you may have ants in your kitchen. One day they're not there and you think they're gone.
Yeah. Where'd they go?
Yeah. And then a week later they're back and you're like, oh, these darn ants.
Yeah.
Gotta call MVP. Yeah.
So if you're worried about termites, what are some things that you could look for around your house that would be evidence of an infestation?
So I want to start by saying this. We'll do, if it's not a real estate transaction, we do free inspections for anyone.
Oh,
So
really?
I always recommend doing it every 1 to 3 years.
Okay.
Have a professional come through. And not just us, most local companies will offer it for free if you're just wondering if you have them.
Yeah.
So that's not like a big,
It's still freeze free.
yeah, it's not a big plug, but and we're doing it because we might find something one day. We might make some money off of it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's a service we offer to make sure your house is good. And with that being said, when you are looking around your own house, if you ever see loose paint or crunchy paint that you don't know why it's loose or falling down, dirt on the walls where you don't know why there would ever be dirt there, dirt's a big one. And then, yeah, so soft spots, dirt. They make tunnels like out in the garage. You'll see the tunnels going up the stem walls.
Okay.
But most of the time, people stack stuff around the edges of their garages, and it's hard to see unless you get a flashlight out and look. But the big one's gonna be if you ever see dirt coming out of your wall and you don't know what.
I was gonna ask how does that happen?
So what they're doing, they're in the wall eating, and they're pushing. I call it dirt. It's actually termite frass, which is a good way of saying it's their feces.
Oh,
But
okay.
All they
but
eat
it looks
is
like
wood, and it looks just like dirt.
Okay.
It doesn't stink or, nothing like that. But
Yeah.
If you
We'll
don't
just
know
call it
what
dirt.
it is, we just you see dirt coming out. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. So you would look for dirt, soft spots, peeling paint, the tunnels around the stem walls. Are the tunnels also frass? Or
Well, they're using dirt to make their dirt tubes, but
okay.
there's probably frass mixed in with it as they're building it.
Yeah.
So
What's the purpose of the tunnel?
to protect them, to protect them from the elements and other, insects.
Okay.
So they travel inside. Like it'll be like, for instance, not every time, but it'll look like about the width of a pencil.
Okay.
Going up the stem wall, and if you knock the dirt away, you'll see those little termites crawling in there. But not every.
Okay.
You may knock it and there's nothing in there, but then you come back 3 days later and it's magically fixed.
Okay.
And it's like, how did that?
Yeah.
How did that get fixed?
Yeah. So, you always hear a lot about termites, termite damage, and like how big of a problem it can be. Is it really as dramatic as it kind of sounds like it is, the damage that they can do?
So don't quote me on this. I should probably know better, but I think other than water, termites are the number one cause of cause more damage in homes than anything else.
Okay. So other than water, they're the most destructive thing
Yes.
to a home.
Billions of dollars a year to homes in damage.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
This, gosh, again, don't quote me, but I think it's about like $5 billion annually in damage they cause to structures.
Damn.
So it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, water's a big deal too, and water can lead to termites. But I mean, there's very few things, and the destruction they do, man. I could show you some pictures that would just, you'd be having me out every 6 months, crawling under the house. And
do you have problems with new homes?
I have found them on brand new homes.
Really?
Yep. Now I also want to say, like, I'm not saying get your new construction home inspected all the time, because honestly, the odds is very slim. But I have found termites on brand new construction. It was built like 3 or 4 months ago. They're getting ready to close. home inspectors like, I think you need to call the termite guy out here. Pretty sure that's what that is. You go out and say, yep.
Wow.
That's
So how does that work? What are they feeding on? If because you said they feed on cellulose, they get the cellulose out of dead wood. So if you're like in a new construction home, would there have to be like water damage somewhere?
no. So all right, let's say crawl space homes pretty easy to say how they get in because they're just crawling up the stem wall into the wood.
Yeah.
But these new slab homes, the way these homes are built, and most of the time, in Oklahoma is a floating slab. So they do have monolithic slabs, but you're not going to see it very often. The floating slab.
What's a floating slab?
So you have the stem wall, the outline of the house, right?
Yeah.
If you ever go to like where they're building a new neighborhood, you'll see just like the outline of the house with the concrete poured.
Yes.
And then, so that's called the stem wall. And then the slab is what we walk on. And those are two separate pours. So they pour the stem wall, then they come back and they pour the slab.
Okay.
Well, right in between that stem wall and that slab is a tiny crack, and it's there on purpose, so to allow for movement.
Okay.
You know, our ground out here gets really hot and it dries up, and then it gets wet and it expands, and so we constantly have movement in Oklahoma. And right in that little joint that's supposed to be there, they crawl right up in between, and
okay.
or they can come in between. So on the outside, a lot of times you can see the stem wall. Sometimes it's covered in brick, and they'll come right up that brick veneer in between the brick and the stem wall into the house.
Those little bastards.
I mean, the termites are the. Oh, I didn't even mean to get off on all the termite talk, but
obviously it's good to know it, and
it's by far the most in-depth thing in our industry, in the pest control industry.
Okay, so what percent of your business do you think is termite related?
Termite related, probably about half.
Okay.
Yeah, between inspections and treatments, I'd say that makes up about half our business, and then pest control makes up the other half.
Okay, very cool.
So it is a big deal to, you know, and we're pretty deep in the termite side of the industry. You know, like I don't want to say deep in the game. It's not a game, but we're deep in the game.
Yeah. So what do you mean by that?
Like we do a lot of termite work. Like,
okay.
I mean, in comparison, you know, like we like to pride ourselves on being specialists in that area. So,
well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I've been around it not my whole life, but since I was in high school, like watching my dad do it, and I've learned a lot over the years about them, and I feel like I'm pretty exceptional at treating for them, and like our team of guys. They're just amazing. I mean, I never have to question what they're out doing because, like Tyler's been doing this for 7 or 8 years, and you know Derek's been in it for 4 years, and John's been in it for 3 or 4. They're
the kind of guys you can trust to, you know, be at work and be doing work.
Yeah, never have to question what they're doing, and if you know. Sometimes there's those little head scratchers that's like, we better call Aaron. And we'll just FaceTime and be like, here's what we do. But
what do you do when you find a termite infestation? Like, what's the treatment process look like?
So there's 2 ways to treat for termites in Oklahoma. There is, have you ever heard of bait stations?
I've heard of bait stations. Yeah. But what is that exactly?
So what bait stations are is they're these plastic containers they're putting in the ground that have a cellulose material that has chemical on it. So they digest the chemical, then they're taking it back to the colony with them. And the idea on bait stations is that they're going to eat that before they eat the house.
Okay, because it's free food. It's candy.
Food. But in my head, I don't trust that.
Okay.
And here, I'll give you a little example. If me and you are eating steak at Mahogany.
Okay.
Right?
Sounds good.
Termites are eating on the house. So we're eating at Mahogany.
Yeah.
And someone throws some fake McDonald's across the street and says, hey,
Come get it.
come and get it. We got this out here right on the ground. It's easy for you don't gotta wait. You don't gotta work for it. It's right here. We're gonna enjoy our steak at Mahogany.
Yeah, you're like, no,
This is
I'm
the
good.
real thing.
I'm good.
Yeah, and so in my sure, there's a lot of scientists that or a lot of big companies try to sell that. They're profitable for companies because they're they're very inexpensive to set up, and they're very quick to set up. So you can go out and set them up in less than an hour on a house with one guy.
Okay.
And set them around the house and then drop
It doesn't
off.
take a whole lot.
Right.
Yeah. What does it cost to install bait stations?
It's typically about the same, or about it's usually comparable to what a liquid treatment costs.
Okay.
So if I'm going to treat a house for $1,000, I bet it's pretty close to that for bait stations.
Okay.
How
many do they put up around the house?
But where the bait stations get you is they have to come refill those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's reoccurring money.
Okay.
They're paying, anywhere from $200 to $400 a year to have you come back and refill them.
Okay.
And they're, they could still be eating on the house over here. They're eventually going to come eat this too, and it's supposed to kill them, but I don't know.
Just because you have a bait station set up doesn't mean that they're going to leave your house and go to the bait station.
Right. And it's a risk I'm not willing to take, and it's a risk too many times. I've seen houses, because we do a lot of inspections.
Mm-hmm.
I see the bait stations, and I see live termites, and I see the paperwork showing when it was placed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mean you did this 2 years ago, and you've had a guy out here every quarter, and they're still eating on your house?
Yeah.
No.
I like the way you said that though. It's like eating steak. You're already at the restaurant. You're eating prime,
the real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone throws out a chicken nugget or something, and you're like, I'm good.
I'm good. So the liquid side, there are pros and cons to that too.
Okay.
We only do liquid. If someone wanted bait, I would refer them to a friend.
Okay.
But liquid treatments, the cons to it is we have to drill through the concrete where it meets the house. So it's going to be a 1/2-inch hole every foot.
Okay.
We're going to refill it with concrete. Eventually it's going to blend in and you're not going to see it. But for the first year or two, you're going to see those holes pretty, they're filled, but it's a different color than the concrete until the dirt goes over it enough to kind of blend it.
Yeah. And so what are you're injecting it into the slab, or are you going down into the dirt?
So we're injecting it right under the concrete.
Okay.
So yeah, there's the soil, then the level of concrete, and we're injecting it right underneath there up against that stem wall. Okay. So when they go to crawl up, they get in it and it kills them. Or well, they take it back to the colony with them.
Okay.
Termidor is what we use. It's a non-repellent, so they don't even know it's actually, I think, one of just a couple of non-repellents on the market.
Okay.
So they don't know they're crawling through it. They're taking it back to the colony, and it's a domino effect. Everyone they touch on the way in the crossing in those tunnels, it just dominoes all the way to the queen.
Nice.
But yeah, so we got to dig the trenches around the house, which are 6 inches by 6 inches, and drill every foot. And where the actual termites are, you have to either pull the carpet up and drill down, or drill from the outside underneath the house. So you use a long drill bit and hit it and inject that chemical under the house.
Okay.
So,
damn. So there's a lot that goes into a liquid treatment.
It's a big process. So
is that one of the reasons people defer to bait stations, because they think it's less invasive? There's not as much work that goes in.
Yeah, and there's really good salesmen that sell bait stations.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Well, and it makes sense because it's a good revenue model, because it's reoccurring income.
Reoccurring. So where your liquid, we can't come pick up our liquid once we inject it. It's there. Okay, the warranty really
Yeah.
What do you mean? You think it's going to last 10 years? Why would I? Yeah.
Does it last 10 years?
Or longer? Yeah. Studies show that stuff to last 20 plus years.
No way.
Yeah.
In liquid form?
So once it's mixed with water, once the water dries after you inject it, it leaves all the dust behind.
Oh, okay.
And so that dust isn't really going anywhere.
Okay. So they still will crawl through it, pick it up, and pass it along.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that's where, I would never single out a company, but that's where I'm the bait stations are kind of oh, you want to quit paying me? I'm going to come pick them up. Yeah. And now you don't have any protection, and those termites are still going.
Oh, that's how it works.
Yeah.
So if you stop paying, they say, "Oh, that's all right. We'll come by tomorrow and pick up the bait stations."
Yeah, or they just won't come refill them.
Oh my
And there's
god.
no bait in there, and your house still got termites.
Dude.
Dude, it's a shady thing.
I don't want you to call anyone out, but are there some local shadier pest control companies?
I'm not going to call them shady because I don't think anybody is like intentionally being shady.
Okay.
When they sell those, I don't want to say it like that. I'm just sorry I've used that verbiage.
But, no. Well, it's good to know because, like, as far as tradespeople go, there are people out there that will like deliberately cut corners. Yeah. They will, look for loopholes.
Most of the, even like, all right, so the big companies who sell it, like, let's say one of the largest companies in the world, their head entomologist came out on there's a YouTube video of it saying that bait stations are inferior to liquid treatments.
Okay.
But like when other companies, like local companies, what you'll find is the guys who are using it were either trained by the big companies or they bought into this. Like, so I don't think anyone's intentionally like trying to mess over anyone, but I like the way I explained it to you. Which option would you go with?
Oh, liquid, 100%.
Right. It's like
it makes sense.
Bait for something that
isn't guaranteed to fix a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's just in my head. I'm like, that's a no-brainer. Like,
yeah,
most people after I explain it, they're like, oh yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
Like, I just always tell people do your research on them before you spend money one way or the other.
Yeah.
Look up Termidor, look up reviews, honest reviews, not companies selling the products.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Get on your Reddit or your, wherever you get your info and look up, look up real world reviews. Yeah.
Okay. So. There's different types, I'm assuming, of liquid treatments?
Yeah, yep, there are. Termidor is the standard. That's the best. Everyone knows it. It's the most expensive. But we're not talking like leaps and bounds more expensive. It's just about $50 a bottle more. So on a treatment on a house, on a standard house, it's going to cost about $50 more to use it.
Oh, okay.
Over the course of a year, that makes a difference, but over the course of one job, it's like, yeah. So Termidor, especially Termidor HE, that's what we use. It is the top Termidor product. Then there's other products like Taurus that has the same active ingredient. So you could...
Like the generic brand kind of?
Yeah, if someone was to argue that it's just as good, it's like, yeah, but, it drives like a Cadillac, but is it a Cadillac?
I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with it. And Termidor offers the longest warranty. They're the only one that does a 10-year guarantee. So
if you use that product on my house, and 7 years from now I find out there's termites,
we can reach out to Termidor and they will pay to have it fixed.
Really?
Yeah.
So. To what extent? Because I'm just wondering, like, so what if there's actually some substantial damage to the house? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
I don't know. I don't want to like get myself in trouble saying what they offer.
You get a phone call from Termidor, like, hey man,
we need to talk about that. I don't know for sure, but I know that they'll have it treated.
They guarantee it.
But if you're having it inspected once a year, which we're going to tell you after we treat it, we offer this for free, or you can keep a warranty through us going.
Okay.
Like, we're going to offer a warranty.
And if you're coming out for free, it just makes sense. You just come out and check out.
Or it's $100 a year to keep a warranty through us.
Okay.
So like, you compare that to like the bait station, which is like $200 to $400 for them to come refill. Like ours, comes with anywhere from a 1 to 3 year warranty, and then you can keep it going for $100 a year.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
It's like, yeah, what you're paying for that is like, if something ever did happen, you don't have to deal with Termidor. Like, you don't have to call their corporate, and
you just go through you.
Yeah, we'll come out and take care of it.
Okay. Do you find that different types of houses are more susceptible to termite damage or infestation?
Not necessarily a certain type of houses, but there are conditions conducive that can lead to them.
Okay.
Water. You never want water around a house, really, for any reason.
Okay.
You want gutters. You don't want leaks. I know you've talked to Sean about water problems.
Dude.
And it's
bad.
And it can lead... one of the quickest ways to get termites on your house. I mean, they have to have water to survive. So,
Yeah.
and
Well,
then
and
if they
it's-
have water on wood, that's like the buffet for.
Yeah, that's
their
a good way to put
mahogany.
it. Yeah, that's the buffet. It's
Yeah.
wild watching Sean go to work on these houses, and he'll, because I kind of look around it when, like, if I'm at a showing with a buyer, we'll walk around the exterior, we look and we see, okay, there might be some negative grading here, and we kind of talk about it, or we'll, if the gutters are messed up or whatever. But when Sean comes out and he starts like calling things out, and you're like, God damn, I guess I wish I would have, thought of that, or, looked at this.
Yeah.
We had one actually over here in Guthrie, and there was some siding on one side of the house where at the top the siding, it was vinyl siding, and it had like peeled back a little bit. It wasn't connected at the top, and so there
The
was
one with
just
the mold.
yeah
Was behind it.
yeah
I heard that
yeah.
story. Yeah.
And so water was just getting back there, and I mean, and there's no telling how much other water
Or how
damage was.
extensive is it? Yeah. Like
Yeah.
how extensive? How far does it go? I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly. It could be behind all that vinyl siding.
That's yeah.
You know?
That's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then double that with some termites in there eating it.
It's no good.
No good. Yeah. So definitely don't want water. Never stack firewood against your house.
Never. Okay.
I can almost bet you if you've had some firewood stacked upon your house for a couple of years, I'm probably going to find termites right there.
Oh, well, it makes sense. Dead wood, the wood's getting wet.
Sitting right on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's a big no-no. So those are the two that you can always keep wood away and keep water out. So,
Is it so? Like, our house was built in 1929.
yeah.
Would it be much more common to find termites on a house this old?
So now we're in a whole different ballgame because
Okay.
when this house was built, they had some products that aren't around anymore, like chlorodyne.
Oh.
They used to put lifetime warranties on those treatments.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
And then
Tell me more.
yeah, then it gets banned. Then they switch to DDT. DDT gets banned.
Yeah.
And then diazonol.
I actually, when was DDT around? Because that sounds familiar.
Gosh, I want to say the 80s. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Then there's a weird time in the 90s before Termidor was out and after all those good ones got banned that they didn't have a product that was killing termites. Same time that they invented those bait stations.
Oh, okay.
Those bait stations got invented in the 90s. And all of a sudden, and then Termidor came out, and they originally made it for ants, and they were like, "Wow, this works awesome on termites." And then that's what
Was it
everyone
called
started using.
Antidor before?
Antidor, right? Fipronil is the active ingredient, and that fipronil is what they were finding was working so well.
Okay.
But yeah, like houses that were built in the 90s, I'm like, I can almost guarantee, not guarantee, but the likelihood goes way up.
Really?
That
Because there was just no good product at the time.
like if you were to give me a house built and you said 1929
Yep.
versus a house that was built in the 90s, and you told me, hey, which one do you think has termites?
You're going to say the 90s?
Yeah.
Score.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'd say the odds are higher.
I got to tell you, man,
Now, it may have had them at one point. But
Sure.
probably been treated. If it's still standing and in decent shape, it's probably had a treatment. Probably in the 50s or 60s.
and it's going to last until 2050.
Right. Yeah.
I have been so happy with this house structurally because you think about, big house built in 1929. You're like, man, it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of upkeep and things like that. But you walk around this place and it's stout.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it is a sturdy house.
Yeah.
And being in other houses all the time and, walking through things built in the 70s or even today, you kind of feel things that you're like, yeah, this is,
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
but
no.
it's and people joke, like I hear clients joke, they're like, yeah, they used real lumber back then.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And so, I kind of have that in my head and we joke about that, but I'm also at the same time 100% serious when I'm like, what's the difference between real lumber, quote unquote, versus what they're using today?
Yeah.
And so do you happen to know, are they using different types of wood or different?
I don't know if it's different types, but it's definitely cut different. And like, like, do you know that 2x4s now aren't truly 2x4s? They're
Yeah, they lost like a 1/4 inch or something.
Yeah. And,
which is a load of shit. I'm paying for a 2x4 piece of wood.
If you go in my barn that was built in the early 1900s or whatever, that's real 2x4s, real 2x6s. I'd be very interested to crawl under this house.
Under this house?
I wonder what kind of stem wall it is. I wonder if it's limestone or
I don't know.
Because this area is known for that, and sometimes you get under them and you know they're solid. You're looking at it like, dang, someone put some thought into that, and then you go under other ones and you're like, oh, that's
yeah.
I shouldn't be under.
Is this still standing?
Yeah, shouldn't be under here. Yeah.
There's one.
Does this have a basement or a crawl space?
It's crawl space.
Okay.
But so, dude, there's a cool story, and I don't know if this is true, but everyone I've talked to that knows the house has told me about it. And they've said that, this was, so it was built in 29. Actually, originally, apparently it was built earlier.
Okay.
But it was completed in 29, completed, air quotes, by a pair of doctors. And so from 29 to like sometime in the 50s or 60s, it had been owned by, I think, 2 different sets of doctors. They used it as a doctor's office. And allegedly, the house across the street over here was where one of them lived, or maybe they both lived.
Yeah.
And during World War II, allegedly there was a tunnel that they had dug out that connected the two.
No kidding.
In case of like air raids or attack, like bombing or something.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of always wondered, like, if there was a tunnel that connected them, and if so, like,
I've heard about Guthrie tunnel systems before.
Right?
I heard there's a lot of tunnel systems up here,
dude.
I don't know how real it is.
The temple over here.
I heard you can get to Oklahoma, the Capitol underground.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it true?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So when they were doing the work over here on Harrison, they were doing something, redoing the roads for like years. I remember when we didn't live here, but I used to work in film. My wife and I were out here shooting a Western, and that construction, like, they had Harrison completely blocked off east of Division, and it was a mess. You could never get around down there. It was always a pain in the ass. And apparently at some point when they were working on that, they were using an excavator and broke through a tunnel.
No way.
Yeah, that's what I heard, at least. And so I'm like,
in there.
Yes.
Let me see.
But apparently it goes back to the Capitol building. Okay. And then there's other stories that I've heard about tunnels that go from the Capitol building to the Bluebell, with the little saloon over here.
Yeah.
And then also there's a pharmacy. And it is actually now like a pharmacy museum.
Okay.
But it was the town, the pharmacist was there.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a tunnel that connects that to the Capitol building as well. And I was telling a guy this story, and he's like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, no, you'd want the Capitol building to be connected to a doctor or pharmacist in case of, like, someone got hurt or an assassination or if someone needed medicine or whatever it was. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, apparently there's tunnels freaking all over Guthrie.
That's pretty cool.
And then if you talk to old Tim over here at the temple, he's the like groundskeeper now. And the dude is hilarious because he's been there for years, like probably 10 or 15. And he knows how many stories there are around like the temple, the tunnels, and it's the Scottish Rite temple now, so it's Freemasons.
Okay. Yeah.
And actually, when it was the Capitol building, it was built by Freemasons. So there's a lot of like symbols, Mason symbols, and things like that were incorporated in the building, and he totally plays on it. And he'll he'll tell people about the basement where the incinerator is, and then he'll look you dead in the eye and be like, "That's where we burn the bodies." And you're just like, Tim, what the hell, man? You're like, really?
You hear that? You got the Mason stuff to back it up. You're like,
Yes, exactly. And then so we had
anyone who doesn't know much about that, it'd freak you out a little bit.
we had my neighbor over for an episode of the podcast. He is the food and beverage director for Karsten Creek Country Club in Stillwater.
Okay.
And we're sitting here, having a good time. And we're shooting at like 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So we broke out a couple beers, and he had brought over some whiskey, and he was drinking whiskey. And then he drops the bomb on me that he's a 32nd degree Freemason. And I'm just like, what?
What can we and can't we talk about? Because I'm about to ask some questions.
And I was hoping he could give me some information on the temple here, but he said he's not part of that fraternity.
Okay.
But anyway, there's...
Oh, dude, I'd love to talk to someone like that.
Me too.
I have so many questions. Well, but...
What are they going to say?
They can't...
Are they going to tell you anything?
Right.
Yeah.
They're going to... Yeah. I've watched enough documentaries.
History Channel.
I know I already know what that conversation would probably go like. But.
Yeah. Man, I watched a documentary once, and I think it was a BBC documentary, but they were talking about Freemasons. Yeah. And they were like pulling the veil off, to show you what it actually is.
Yeah.
And there's this one guy who like wants to be part of it. And you have to go through this, this like process to, I don't know, you have to like memorize a speech and go through this ceremony to like be initiated.
Yeah. Not just anyone gets in. Yeah.
But, and like they showed him like practicing his script of what he had to say and all this stuff. And I'm like, listening to the words, some of it's in Latin, and you're like, okay, I don't really know what you're saying, but they totally downplayed it all. And like by the end of it, the conclusion that they come to is this is just another fraternity that happens to have, secrets. I'm like, what a load of shit.
But we want to know what those secrets are.
I know. I don't believe you, BBC.
Come on.
I'm fascinated by the Masons, dude.
It got me thinking about something else. Did you hear a story about Guthrie? I don't mean to like go too far off track.
Yeah, no, let's do it.
But I heard Guthrie was supposed to be the original capital. The capital was actually supposed to be here, and they stole it and took it to Oklahoma City.
So the story I've heard was that this was built as the Capitol building.
Okay.
And the Oklahoma State Constitution was housed in the Capitol building here.
Okay.
And when Oklahoma became a state in, I want to say 1891, I might be wrong.
Right after the land
right after the land right.
No, I guess it was...
After.
Okay, yeah.
Right? I think it would have been after.
I got you. We're in the same...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to brush up on my history.
Right.
But there's a newspaper, like a print house over here, and it's on the corner. And it's this big, tall building. I want to say it's like 4 or 5 stories. And there's a balcony at the top. And apparently that balcony, like when the Oklahoma statehood was announced, they like came out on the balcony and held up the first paper that came off the printing press that said, Oklahoma was declared a state, all this. And the capital or the temple over here was the Capitol building. And then someone, and Guthrie was also the biggest, or the most densely populated area in the land run. Yeah. Or like in that time. And I wish I could remember the whole story, but at some point the Declaration or Constitution was stolen from the Capitol building here they say in the middle of the night. Yeah. And then like days or weeks later, it showed up in Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City claimed to be the capital of Oklahoma.
And how, yeah.
Yeah. And so it was like this,
that would have to be
conspiracy.
A too,
dude, I would think so.
Imagine like if like you're setting up shop right next to where the Capitol's going to be, and then all of a sudden it's 30 miles.
Yeah, exactly.
Like then, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Like, let's load up on the horse and go to we'll see you in 2 days. By the time you get there, you probably thought about it. It probably is not a bad idea. Like, y'all take it. I'm tired. I'm going home.
Right? But, I mean, it makes sense. You look at the, like, historic nature of Guthrie, excuse me, and you're like, okay, like this was the Capitol. Old buildings from the 1890s. So much freaking history, man. You can feel it walking around down
for
here.
sure. Yeah, even the roads.
Yeah, they still have original brick roads over here on what is it? First Street, I think.
There's some that run north and south right off of Division.
Yeah, like if you're at Division and like Oklahoma and Harrison, whatever that next block over, I wanted to say it was First Street.
On the west.
Yes, to the west. That whole road is all old brick, like kind of wild stuff. In fact, when we shot, what is it called now? When we were shooting it was called Mustanger, the Mustanger and the Lady. I forget what they actually ended up calling it, but we shot that in Guthrie, and they wanted that road specifically because it had the old brick and everything. And so we had to, have the city come out, and they had everyone move their cars off and park elsewhere. And then we, dressed it up and brought old carriages and horses and had hitching posts and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was a crazy world doing film.
Dude,
my cousin's pretty big into that stuff, and he's made a couple films that are on Amazon Prime.
What? Yeah. What does he do?
Just like I don't know what genre you would call it, but what was one he Sam Squatch County, kind of like
Sam Squatch, like Sasquatch?
Yeah, Sam Squatch County. And, it's a little like funny. Some of them are horror. Some of them just
Oh, I know the genre you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I got into that for a little bit. I was doing this. So I got in with this production company called The Asylum.
Okay.
And their niche is all those really shitty horror sci-fi movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's what they do, and they do it very well.
Okay.
And so they contracted with Sci-Fi Channel. Sci-Fi basically has an open checkbook for them for these movies.
Oh, no
They're
kidding.
like, the shittier the better. Just bring it. Just keep them coming.
There's a market for it.
Oh yeah. There's a huge cult following.
Yeah.
And so in this studio, it's hilarious. They have, it's basically two buildings on either side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
One is more like their corporate office where there's three main producers. They've got their offices there, and then everyone else that keeps the thing running.
Uh-huh.
But it's basically you have, think of like a rectangular hallway that goes all the way around the building, like on the outside. You got offices on the outside, and then there's editing studios or bays on the inside.
Okay.
But all around the outside, they have every poster of every movie that they've ever made.
Oh, nice.
And it's hysterical. The main producer he loves rollerblading. He always has rollerblades on.
Yeah.
And he'll just like rollerblade around, check in on all the offices and everything. You're like, all right.
That's different.
And he'll like rollerblade across the street and go over to where they're, actually like planning and producing the movies.
Yeah.
But it's funny walking through there and you see all these posters of, all these movies, and you're like, oh my God, they made that?
That's a movie.
Yeah. But so I got to do a bunch of like zombie movies.
Oh yeah.
I did Sharknadoes.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. So I did Sharknado 3 and 4.
Okay.
I was an assistant director on it. Had a lot of fun. It was a good time. Yeah. We shot 4 in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
And dude, that was it was fun. It was fun. But we were doing a lot of overnight shoots, and the casinos are open 24/7. So we shot inside the Stratosphere, and then shot out on Fremont Street. And we did a bunch of exterior stuff.
Yeah.
But it was wild. We didn't shut down the casino at all. So there were still people, doing their thing, gambling.
Yeah.
And it kind of got to a point where, we would yell like rolling, and people would just sit there and
they didn't even care.
They did not even care. And we had some of these scenes, and you can tell when you watch the movie, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
The idea is there's this Sharknado that's like rolling through Vegas and, killing people, and the sharks are like landing on people and whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then you can see the people who are actually real people just sitting at the slot machines. They don't give a shit. They're just playing, And so you're like, they're clearly not worried about the sharks.
Right.
But,
that's hilarious.
But no, we did that. And then I got to do another shark movie in Cape Town, South Africa.
Okay.
Which was a blast. So that was the first one that I got to be a production manager on.
Oh, nice.
And so that was wild because I had been working as an assistant director and was still, I'd only been in the film world for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I was still learning what I was doing. And someone just asked me like, hey, would you be interested in managing this show? It's a post-apocalyptic Waterworld sort of movie with sharks.
Cool.
I'm like, yeah, I'm down. And they're like, okay, great. We're going to shoot it in South Africa. And I was like, and they're like, you've got 11 days to get your passport. I'm like, okay.
Thanks, yeah.
And so we got on that. But landing in South Africa was the biggest eye opener because here we are, like I landed with a script and, you know, like we had a couple people on the team, but I'd never been there, first of all. Yeah. And so I land at the airport. I want to get a rental car. And this was just like the perfect starting point for this movie because it explains everything else in a nutshell. I get to the rental car and, you know, the driver's seat is on the opposite side of the car than we're used to. And it's a manual.
Okay, so you got to drive with your. Oh,
you got the manual on the left.
I could do it with the right.
But the manual is still set up the same way as if it would be if you were on the left side of the car. Okay. So you still have first over to the left,
yeah,
and then second, and reverse is, you know, down, and so you're doing it all backwards and with your left hand.
Okay, yeah,
and then you're driving on the wrong side of the road too.
Oh. So that's the thing that would get me.
I know.
Yeah.
So you've got like, it's just one thing on top of another on top of another.
Yeah.
But my personality type, I'm like, I can do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, so just hop in, you know, get going. It was just awkward. Yeah. But Cape Town was beautiful. Like it was like Southern California, but on island time. Okay. Everyone's like super chill, sometimes to our detriment because in film, everything's very fast paced.
Okay.
And, you know, we had locals that we were hiring and you'd be like, hey, we need yada, yada, yada. And they're like, I got you, man. And you're like, now. And they're like, I got you. You're like,
hello.
Like right now. But they're great people. Still friends with a lot of them on Facebook and everything. And
don't you wish you could live like that sometimes?
Yes, just like I got it. You know, whatever. Yeah. That island time's something else, man.
I would love that. It's so fast pacing.
Actually, I did. So I don't mean to keep talking about film, but I did one that was probably the most fun. No, that's not true. But so I grew up. I had a younger sister. Mm-hmm. She was a year and a half younger than me, and she was obsessed with the boy bands in the early 2000s. So like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, all of them. She loved them.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And I would always make fun of her, but she had posters on the wall. She was obsessed with AJ from the Backstreet Boys and all this stuff.
Okay.
Well, I get this call to do a post-apocalyptic zombie Western that was written and produced by Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys. And the idea is it's all the boy band guys from the early 2000s in this post-apocalyptic zombie world. And I'm like, this sounds like it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, right? I'm in.
So we ended up shooting it in Butte, Montana. That. Yeah, I mean, check it out. It's on Amazon. But it was a great time. And actually, that's where I got this tattoo. Okay. And everyone will ask me, like, it never fails. People are always like, is that how many people you've killed? I'm like, yes, it is.
Is it, how many is it?
It's 7.
7, okay.
And it was because the movie was called Dead 7.
Oh, okay.
Or The Dead 7.
I'm going to have to watch it now.
You should check it out now.
Yeah.
And I almost regret getting the tattoo because I think because the tally marks and, it's red and so people always think it's something negative. Mm-hmm. But really, we got it because... Well, we had gotten really drunk one night and, we were hanging out with these guys and talking about how much of a blast the show was. Mm-hmm. And AJ had said, let's fucking get tattoos. And we're like, okay. Yeah, right?
I'm sleeved up.
So why not? Yeah. So, man, we just, we all bought in. And actually, we were doing it the next morning. And I remember waking up and there were like a couple calls and missed texts and they were like, hey, are we going? Are we going? Are we going?
We're doing this?
And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess. And, so you wake up all hungover and, like stroll down to the lobby and there's a couple guys waiting to go and just went and got tattoos.
That one luckily didn't take long. If you had
no, it was just a couple minutes.
You're hungover. You don't want to
no.
long session.
Actually, I remember bleeding like crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they won't usually give you a tattoo if you're hungover or you've had alcohol because thins your blood and everything.
Yeah.
And so I wondered, with as much as I was bleeding, I was like, do I have that much alcohol still in my system? You know?
That's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, fun times. Now, film's a cool, like, it's a cool world.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of Oklahoma and how they're handling the film world kind of moving out here. And it's weird to see this happen in so many different industries because you see it happening in film. You've got people from Los Angeles coming out here because it's cheaper to produce movies.
Yeah, I can see that.
We also have different climates and like geographies or topographies. So we've got a little bit of mountains, we've got mesas, we've got prairies and plains, we've got cities, we've got historical towns, and we've got deserts.
Yeah.
So it's like you can shoot anything here.
That makes sense.
And then the state's giving a tax rebate or an incentive for film to come out. So it kind of motivates larger productions to come out. And my wife's working on one called The Tulsa King right now, which is pretty cool. It's got
Tulsa King?
Tulsa King.
I don't know who the Tulsa King is.
Have you heard of Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Okay. So the guy that created Yellowstone, Taylor Sheridan.
I've seen all those.
Yeah.
I'm a Yellowstone fan.
Then you're going to love this.
Okay.
He wrote it. It's the same kind of show
Okay.
as like Yellowstone or 1883, but it's got Sylvester Stallone. And
Man.
I'm not going to give anything away because I don't want anyone to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a really good show.
So it's a show, not a movie.
It's a show.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so
I'll be all over that.
Yeah. It actually, I think they're shooting it now, but I believe it starts airing in like July or August.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So not too far out there.
No, take a look. Sylvester Stallone's going to be in it. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. That'll be fun. Yeah.
But that's happening with real estate too. We've got a lot of people coming in from out of state.
Isn't this wild?
Yes. Buying up land, buying houses.
I'm no agent, but I've been directly working with them since like 2008.
Yeah.
So this is wild, man. What's going on here?
Have you ever seen anything like it?
Not even close.
No.
Not even remotely close. This seller, like, it flips from a seller's market to a buyer's market, and there's pros and cons to each in my line of work.
Yeah.
This heavy of a seller's market is rough. I mean, it also has its pros and cons as well, but it's tough. It's wild. I mean, if you're trying to buy a house and you don't have nothing to sell,
that's the tough part.
That's the tough part.
Well, and I feel like people are getting hit by the other side of it too, like buyers are, because now you've got prices are high, but now you've got interest rates rising. You're at 5.25%, 5.3% interest, and that means your payment is like on a $250,000 house. It's like $250, $240 more than it was in December.
Right.
That's a 5-month difference.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big difference. And so I kind of wonder, and this is one of the conversations we're having a lot right now, is the rising interest rates going to cause the market to slow?
It's eventually got to, right?
It
I hope
has
the pendulum
to slow.
doesn't swing too hard the other way too.
See, I don't think it will. My logic, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts on it.
Okay.
But my logic is there's so much demand on the buy side because you've got literally the largest generation in history coming to home ownership age.
Yeah.
And we've also had the better part of 10 years of a lot of really positive economic growth. And a statistic just came out from the National Association of Realtors that said the average American, I think it was just the average American, has on average $19,000 in I can't remember how they said it, savings or cash on hand or something like that.
Yeah.
And in a world where you can say the average American has $19,000
That's wild.
in cash or investments or liquidity or some sort of cash on hand, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it wasn't like that 10 years ago.
No.
That's,
So I think like the state of the economy is a lot healthier than
for sure. We just gotta hope it stays that way.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
That's yeah. No, I'm with you though. I think I'm on the same page. I've always said it's like a pendulum through the years, but this pendulum's taking a big swing one way. I don't think it's going the other way. It's hard.
Yeah.
I've always said it's going like this every year. Every 6 months it's flipping back and forth. But this is it's something different, you know. I bet I've learned a lot through this too, from a business standpoint, because it is when we find termites on a house, a lot of times it's just, like they have it pre-written up that the sellers are going to pay for the treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're not having to do that anymore. All the
Are
time.
they not getting the
all
sellers
the
to pay for it?
time. I mean,
Okay.
most of the time they'll go ahead and sign it because, yeah, it's my job to pay for it if my house has it.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, they're wanting to argue every little thing now. And it's like they got the leverage. And it's like, I mean, but that's where it pays to have a good agent. Bottom line, because you're not going to let it fly for someone, you know, one of your buyers.
It really does. And what I tell every buyer is that when it comes to like the TRR and negotiating repairs, especially in this market, it's hard. But if you really want that thing, you got to be ready to almost kill the deal over it.
Right.
You know, like if it's really important to you, or if it's a repair that you maybe can't afford to do after you move in and you need the sellers to do it, hey, let's push for it, but be ready. They might just say, you know what, no.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like I had this happen recently with a house in Edmond where it was kind of a weird divorce situation. The couple had divorced and the wife had been living there for 7 years while they were like getting the divorce finalized and everything.
Yeah.
And she did not maintain anything. She like just wrecked the place.
Let it go.
Dude, carpet was tore to hell. It was just funky. Like there were just stuff broken all over the place.
Yeah.
And so the buyer, you know, she had been looking for a house since like September, October of last year. And we looked regularly. You know, I had her set up on an auto email. We would go pop in and check out a place probably once a month or so. We would find something that she thought she might be interested in. And finally this popped up and she was like, hey, I like it. Let's go look at it. She wanted to go look at it like during the weekend. This was on like a Tuesday. I was like, we need to go look at it tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
And so we got in there. She was able to make a cash offer.
Cool.
But so she had that capability, but her cash came from a life insurance settlement because her husband had passed away. And so it's kind of a bummer, but she's thinking, you know, hey, I've got 3 kids. I'm a single mom. I don't have a man around the house to do these repairs. And so she was like, you know, I'd like for these repairs to be done prior to moving in, or credit me some money back so that I can have them done. And some of them were very legit requests. There were a couple where I was like, you know, it's kind of a cosmetic thing. You know, they don't really care about the carpet or whatever. But there were some issues with the septic and sprinkler system and just some other things. So she was asking, she wanted to get 5,000.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, if we ask for 5, they're going to give us 1,000.
Yeah.
That's just how it is right now. And she was like, well, you know, what if we ask for 10? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I said, we can ask, but I mean, we have to be prepared for them to say no or, you know, be ready to potentially, you know, lose the deal.
Yeah.
And so we tried it. We asked for 10. They came back and they said, we'll give you 2,000. And we were like, that's actually, you know,
better than we originally thought it was.
Yeah, so. Better than nothing.
Yeah.
Well, she was a hardballer. She wanted to play some hardball. And so we countered back to their counter with 7,500. And anyway, we countered back with 7,500. And it was actually funny. I was a little nervous doing it because I was like, right now we're not having a lot of back and forth negotiation on repairs.
Because they could just drop it, right?
They could. Well, technically she has the house under contract, but they could just say no.
Okay.
Like, we're not going to give any repairs.
Yeah.
And you know, the downside for the buyer was they had other offers.
Yeah.
And the one thing that we had going for us was that we had the house under contract for like 3 weeks at the time. And because it was a cash transaction, we were set to close in like 8 or 9 days.
Oh, so they're
so the seller's looking at a paycheck a week out, or you know, a week and a half out.
Another, you know, $1,000-$1,500 on the mortgage payment.
Yeah,
all of a sudden,
and another 30 days or more.
Days. Yeah, and that could potentially be 2 more house payments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they ended up meeting us at 3,000.
Okay.
And buyer was happy with that, and everything worked out. But yeah,
Cool.
it's definitely one of those markets where you've got to play hard if you're going to get anything for repairs.
You're right. So I'm glad I don't have y'all's job. I don't have the negotiating skills. Like, can we ask that?
Are you sure you want to do that? No, it's a fun job, man. But it's funny. I was listening to you talk earlier about the pest inspection and Gorilla Desk and how everything's just kind of taken off. And I was thinking a little bit to myself, like, what would it be like to have a business like that? Like, sales is a different breed.
It is, yeah.
You've got to be like on it and in it every day, or you don't grow,
right?
And so
ours is all referral based. So
Yeah.
it's like it's almost like every time you land like one person, it almost leads to two or three.
Yeah.
Their buddies have spiders. Oh, I use MVP, and then they're calling.
Yeah. Well, that's the beautiful thing about business and like putting an emphasis on good customer service and the relationship, the client relationship.
In the service world that I'm in, it boils down to like three things: be a decent human, answer your phone, and do a good job or know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like
that's it.
That's it.
I've got to ask you something. You seem like we're very in line as far as work ethic and business go.
Yeah.
And I think like you've probably got some big goals you're going after. You're doing well in business. I have been thinking a lot about this recently, and I feel like it is so easy today to do better than your competition.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do is be like a fraction better at like answering your phone or returning a call or like giving someone the time of day. Because it's like everyone today is so like you've got 30 seconds of their attention and that's it. They're not even really listening to you. Or they don't call you back. And I feel like, man, like all I've got to do to be successful is literally just do a little better than what everyone else is doing.
I'm telling you, a 2-minute conversation to most people feels like 10.
Yeah.
Like to me, I'm a talker, so an hour could go by. I'm like, oh, I thought it was a minute.
Shit, I gotta go.
but like when I train our technicians, I tell them, stop and give them a minute. Make sure they don't have any questions, and that will make it feel like you're there twice as long.
Yeah.
Like I never want to feel like I'm in and out. Sometimes because the home inspection takes 3 hours, ish. Ours is like half an hour. We go hop in our truck, start filling out the reports, but roughly about half an hour. I'm like, I don't want it to think I'm not here, but that extra like 5 minutes just standing around talking to people, it makes them like, I'm not in a rush. I just also want, it's your day today. I don't want to take up too much. So if you don't have questions for me, we're good. But when someone starts quizzing you, you better be ready to answer too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And being able to respond. And I feel like even if you don't know the answer, if you let them know, like, hey, you know what, that's a good question. No one's asked me that before, or I don't have an answer for that, but I can get one for you. Like I'll find out. And then not just saying that, but then actually finding out.
That's huge.
Yeah. Because so many people I hear say that, like, oh yeah, I can find out, or I'll take care of that. But then they don't. You're like, dude, where's the follow-up? Where's the follow-through?
Yeah, I'm with you. No, I know all too well about that. Yeah. Because if I'm stumped, sometimes I'm like, man, that's new. Like, I thought I seen it all at this point. But no, I'll have to find out.
Always learning.
Yeah.
Always learning. So, how do people get in touch with you?
Call, text, or email. Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger. You could probably reply to something on our TikTok videos and I'll answer.
Yeah. Do you do TikTok?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like for fun. Yeah. I mean, I'll make I'll make personal stuff too, but for I'll give MVP some.
Yeah.
I let a black widow crawl on my arm last year.
No.
Yeah. I made a TikTok on it.
Dude.
I had a shirt on, but.
Oh, okay.
I've thought about doing it without a shirt. Just do it for the TikTok.
Do it for the TikTok.
But no, I'm I do all the little social media stuff, like the content that's being put out on our Facebook page and our Instagram. Shout out to Callie in our office. She's like a pro at that. So
Yeah.
she's kind of taken it over the last few weeks and starting to make it look more professional.
Well, and man, I was looking at your Google reviews.
Yeah.
Google reviews are off the hook.
Yeah, they are, right?
Dude.
Yeah.
You've got one, a shit ton of them.
Yeah.
And two, they are all like 5-star reviews.
Yeah, I got one 4-star.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh man. Did you call them?
I did. Is there something I did wrong?
You guys missed a star. Was that an accident?
It's funny. She said, well, my HVAC is still leaking. I'm like,
Oh, come on.
what do you mean? We're not the heat and air guys. Like, oh, I thought you were the heat and air guys. I'm like, MVP? Like,
Pest control. Pest
we
control.
were there spraying. Did we do? Anyway, no. That's yeah. The reviews is huge. We just went over 100 like a few weeks ago.
Nice.
And I'm pumped. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I send out little, like, we have that little link. If we did a great job, do you mind leaving us a review
100%.
at the bottom of their invoice?
Yeah.
And so I'm pushing for them a little bit, but I'm not going like out of my way and asking. It's just like, hey, here's your invoice, by the way.
I think that
wanna...
the evidence is you're getting them. So
Yeah.
I think you know that people see you doing a good job.
They care enough to go on there.
Yeah.
Man, it like makes me blush reading some of those sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get I have kind of a hard time like taking compliments and stuff like that. And I had one person that left me a review that said like Craig is a wonderful and beautiful human being and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I am. You know, like, wow.
That's news to
Thank
me.
you.
I'm teasing.
But no, man.
Awesome.
So anything else you want to say like on MVP and pest control?
No, I think we've about covered. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I love helping people. It's
well, and I appreciate what you do, man. Like I said, I mean, you guys do all of our pest inspections, and you do a great job. And there's a reason we keep calling you guys. You know, you can always get out when we need you. And like I said, you do a good job. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me on today. This has been awesome. I enjoy it.
100%, dude. We'll have to have you back out. This is a good time.
For sure. For sure.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you.
No problem. Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.
See ya.
Boom.
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah, I like that. I could do that for hours.
I know.
That's the hard part.
You get sucked in. I think.